There we go, live now. Hey guys, worked on this a little bit off stream, as always, really. Obviously, we're still going to be working on jewelry. It probably will be for another few streams, to be honest. Although, if anyone's getting sick of seeing jewelry, do let me know. I'm more than happy to kind of divert and maybe do some temporary skin textures and that sort of stuff, just to kind of get away from doing jewelry for a bit. But yeah, so off stream, I did a few tiny tweaks to the base model. So I changed the kind of the I forgot the name of the section, but basically just pulled this section of the ear in and adjusted the position of the earlobes just because they were slightly off. And obviously with moving the ear around, I've corrected the positions of all the earrings, so they're actually now matching the camera lineup. Same on this side, like this one was down here, but now that's hidden behind the cheekbone. So I've just kind of put everything where it's supposed to go. These are floating off the mesh, but I haven't got around to doing those yet. And I'm still not convinced that the earlobe is matching, to be honest. In terms of what we did last stream, obviously we worked on these guys. We got all the some general kind of surface breakup on them with sculpting. It's not an exact match, and something I realised after starting is that these screws go the other way. So on the front at least, these like helixes, they actually go the opposite way of what I've got, but it's not worth fixing. It's the sort of stuff that people might notice, but it's not the point of this asset, is to get these right. I'm more concerned about getting the rest of it right. We can do a bit more work on maybe the heads, because sculpting wise these still aren't right. This is too thick and it's a bit too soft and organic feeling rather than metal. But I think this bit down here came out quite successfully. It's not perfect, but it feels generally like this. I just need to get the lighting and shading right. But yeah, and then off stream, as I said, I worked a bit on the ears, but I also did a little bit of work. I blocked out this guy, which once I mirror it over to this side, I've kind of realised that maybe the back of this earring is actually completely plain, because I assumed that the earrings are at least somewhat symmetrical back to front, because we don't have any other angles of this. But on this camera you can't really see anything, so I just assumed, oh well, we'll just mirror it. But actually on the other side, something that I didn't check while I was working last time is it might be hidden behind the cheekbone. There might actually be stuff going on here. Maybe this is rotated forward slightly, so that the top middle is actually here, not there. But this is rotated. There's nothing back there, so I'm going to maybe assume that nothing is actually back there. Like it's just a plain hoop past this point. And then I've started blocking out the middle ring, which is going to be an absolute nightmare. Like I'm going to really hate this, just because it's so difficult. Also, this ring is why I moved the ear, just because it became impossible. Sorry, this ring is why I moved the ear, just because it has 4 of these things. Obviously they changed in size, but the ear met at this third one, and this does line up almost exactly in terms of distance to this guy. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to shut up now and get on with a bit of modelling. But yeah, so more jewellery. Joy or joys. I also just realised I need to scale down this diamond a bit because it's too big. It's also not facing the camera correctly. But we'll get that when we'll do that when we get to it. So let me just get my reference set up on the other screen. Also, whoever liked my stream before it started, thank you, but why? There we go. Let's get this sorted out on the other screen. Cool. So let's dual screen, set this to ref high res, I guess, and then cool, close this guy. So this ring is what we're going to focus on, I think. So I feel like it's worth getting rid of all this stuff back here, and then I need to figure out kind of how this ring ends, if that's the case. I'm gonna probably just go with just a straight up like hole in the ring, so maybe do something like, let's keep that one actually, give it a little bit more room, something like that, just so the ring can come on and off a lot easier, and that means these wouldn't have to be pushed through the ear. So let's do that. Fill hole, do the same on this side. So let's just solo this guy and turn off the mask. There we go. Fill hole. Cool. And then let's just add a quick bevel. Does anyone know if there's a way to set the defaults so that when you create a bevel, it automatically adds 2 segments rather than 1? Yeah, I think that makes a bit more sense. Granted, this one doesn't really make any sense. And actually this physically wouldn't be able to slide past unless it rotates the other way. But mechanically this doesn't make much sense. This would be flapping around all the time. So maybe it's worth fixing, but I'm not too worried. As long as it looks like a ear hoop, then okay. Also, yeah, if anyone's like jumping in the stream at this point, this is ZBrush. Don't hunt me down. It's not a deforming mesh, and I'm not too worried about viewport performance, so I'm happy for it to be, in this case, 40,000 polygons. But it gets the shape I want, and there's no point retopoing that manually. This was retopoed manually though. But yeah, so let's check this out. So a lot of this stuff I'm going to sculpt. If I get back to the reference, obviously this like proxy mesh is just a cube extruded and then softened. Extruded on all faces then softened. It's not the same shape as these, but it's just to kind of block out where everything goes. I think these need to go smaller. And then once that's blocked out, I'll kind of go in with ZBrush and kind of rebuild. Not rebuild, but like resculpt over it. There you go, that feels a bit nicer. I plan on doing quite a lot of the work on these jewelry in ZBrush. In fact, I'm almost debating doing this thing in ZBrush because there's so much going on with it. Like, it's just such random shapes, it might be easier, like genuinely easier just to get a sphere and sculpt each piece. And just do a back and forth with Maya to make sure they're in the right place. And then Dynamesh them whenever I'm happy with it. Yeah. So, I think this ring will be okay the way it is. So do I want to sculpt this first, or... Well, I need to fix you, actually. View... I'll be replacing this face with a face of one of the previous characters. I need to do that for the hoop A on the left side as well, but... or maybe the right side. I haven't decided which one I want to replace yet. I think the one on the left side, or the right side of the screen looks better, so I'll stay with that one, just because of lighting. What am I doing right now? Camera tools. So, that's supposed to be more lined up like that. Obviously it's not the exact same shape. That just doesn't feel right to me. Strictly speaking, it should be that, right? That's facing away. Then it needs to be moved over. Now it doesn't line up anymore. Unless it just needs to go that way. Oh yeah, that's it. Cool. So it's just set way further back than I have it. Which means I need to set this further back. For as much as these are handmade, or they appear handmade, I'm still going to assume they're at least somewhat like symmetrical. And this guy needs to come down, I think. These actually line up remarkably well, so I'm going to leave them completely alone. And this guy is way too big. This guy's too far forward. So if you can't tell, I'm not exactly using an industry standard technique right now. I'm just kind of winging it, to be honest. Getting something in place so that I can fix it later. if you was doing this for a proper VFX pipeline, if there was a really high-end digitable with this sort of jewelry, you'd probably, I mean, for one, you'd go out and find the exact earrings. I'm not too worried about getting that stuff. But yeah, you would for an actual reference shoot. You'd get all this stuff. What can we see about this guy? See, it looks like it might just be a plain ring, except from back there, which might be a duplicate of this nonsense. So it looks like you can see the bottom of whatever this is. And it looks like it has another one of those flower things at the bottom. So I'm going to assume this one's symmetrical. So I'll model the front half. Also, this looks like a tiny little lion face with ears, eye, nose, mouth, hand. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Yeah, so I'm going to model one side and then I'll flip it in ZBrush probably. Or flip it in Maya even once I've sculpted. And then use a horribly high-res ZBrush. So, what shape are you? It's just a mess. So let's move that down to there. Cube. Again, I'm just blocking out like rough volumes. I'm going to use this more as a reference mesh than as an actual modeled mesh. ZBrush outrageous. Yep. Yeah, I'm a disgusting fool and I will never get a job in the industry. I was messaging one of my friends the other day actually about it, and it's just like I feel like such a pleb for using ZBrush, but it's, you know, sometimes you just need to do the hackiest approach. And using ZBrush for earring topology, sure, why not? It's just horribly high res. Like, you wouldn't want this, really. If you're having this many polygons, then you may as well use them efficiently and get every detail, but I'm not even getting close to every detail. So this guy, let's push him down to about there. And let's just do some very vague lineups. So put a line there. And again, this is just to act as a physical reference. Come on. And convert to edges. Nope, not edge ring. To edges. I could have scaled the face. What was I doing? Get you. Something like that. I use it for absolutely everything. It came a very long way. Yeah, it's definitely come a long way. I remember using it when I first got ZBrush like a couple of years ago. Well, about 5 years ago now, actually. No, 6 years ago now. I haven't sculpted anywhere near enough for the last 6 years. But yeah, I think the ZBrush was pretty new when I picked up ZBrush. Like, I was in 4R6. And I'm pretty sure ZBrush came in 4R6. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like it did. Right, that'll do. That's a good proxy. Probably way too thick. Let's check the other side. Yeah, way too thick. So let's just do that. And this can... I'm just looking at my other screen. Let's just do that, that, that. Again, I'm just using these as like a general positioning reference, because this shape is completely wrong. Like, it's more of a head shape. And let's duplicate you. Beautiful. So select rotate is an absolute like favorite feature sometimes. Right, so let's go back to the render. So I'm trying to decide which one I want to sculpt the new faces onto, because I do want to change the faces on these. I mean, maybe I'll keep these two the same, just because they are quite close to camera. Like bringing those. I mean, obviously they're all in focus, but these two are quite dominant. I've also just realised this guy needs to twist more on this side. The ring is quite bent on this side, whereas that side it is seemingly quite straight. So I'll have to change that. But maybe I'll keep these two the same. Maybe I can put the new faces on this guy and this guy, because that would allow me to just do the ones that I've streamed, which I guess would tie a nice neat little bow on this. Would just put like Dragon Boy on this guy and the Rowan creature on this guy. Could look quite interesting. Maybe keep the front two the same. It also means less work, which is always a nice little thing. But yeah, I still really need to. This side just looks worse. I don't know why. Like they are literally the same ring, same material, same displacement, same everything. And this side just looks worse. It's super weird. It can't entirely be lighting. Like maybe I'm just quite fortunate that one angle looks good in the sculpt. Right, so let's get this guy. Cool. So that's tweaked to be basically what I want now. Let's call these hoop B group. And that's just a duplicate of hoop B, which I'm going to leave well alone for now. There's no point working on that until I've got this guy sorted. And then I guess we work on this guy first. So let's get this exported into Maya. Into ZBrush even. Combine the mesh. Oh, let's save first. And then alt save, because I haven't alt saved in the session. And then combine. Delete history, file, export selection. Let's go to modeling, Maya, exports, jewelry, hoops, hoop A. Let's replace that with hoop B. And let's call this hoop B low. Let's just call it template. Template geo. Cool. We don't want materials. Other than that, we're fine. Cool. So, ZBrush. There you are. Import. CG stuff. Projects, personal work, FKA twigs, modeling, Maya, exports. God, these files. Perfect. So, perspective, document, no, draw, set you to 150. Set you to basic material, document, range 0, double, yes. Cool. I'm curious about how much that angle is going to bother me. Like, is it worth rotating just to kind of fix that? So, material. Let's just, as a tool, duplicate, go 3 subdivisions in, go back to the lowest level, import it back in, that gets the volume back and keeps our subdivisions. So, there we go. I think I am going to straighten it up. So let's go to deformation. Lowest. So rotate around the y-axis, then rotate around the x, and rotate around the y. Let's see even. There we go. So let's get some sculpting done then. I don't want to sculpt it. Let's go to inflate, auto masking, and then it's topology mask, topological. There we go. I'm just going to inflate these guys in. Actually, no, those ones can stay. It's just down here. That's all of it can stay. Okay. So, brush. Right, so. This is going to be such a pain. What needs to change then? So, we need. Let's change the size of this. Turn off brush alpha. Right, let's turn brush alpha on, but go with the soft one. And then clay tubes was the brush that I liked most in the last one. So go to modify, radial fade on the alpha. And this gives quite a nice look, in my opinion. So, can we sculpt with symmetry? Is it going to? No, it's way too far off. Right. Let's get started. Let's start with smoothing these guys actually. So, dynamic. These blend into each other quite a lot, so let's just trim this guy. I'm going to intentionally keep like almost all the brush marks, like whatever it gives me is what I'm going to keep. Just because I find, because I obviously do have control over it, but because I'm not intentionally placing the, could you call them artifacts? I guess you could call them artifacts. Because I'm not placing those, it'll feel more organic than if I was to try to actually place them. So let's just smooth these way out. This one's a lot more worn down. Obviously they're not as square as mine are at the moment as well. Super round, like unbelievably round. Let's go to not geometry, polygroups. No, that's polyplane. Polygroups, auto group. And I guess the back one will just wear down almost completely. I'll be using the clay tubes to kind of fill in these areas because clay trim dynamic, like you can do stuff in there with alt held, but it just doesn't feel right. I massively prefer to do trim dynamic on subtractions like this. Cool. And this guy is super round. Is it worth dynameshing this all together already? Yes, it is. Let's do it. Geometry. Delete lower. Then, in fact, actually, let's undo that for a second. Duplicate this. Let's call this. I guess we can bring this back at any point by importing it. Let's call this one. Rename. Hoop B template is actually alright. Rename this one to Hoop B. Diner. Cool. So geometry. Let's see what we can get out of this. So let's see what the default is. I'm pretty sure it will, yeah, be bad. Delete lower. Let's go to 400. I might have to use the same settings I used last time. Oh, that's actually a lot higher res than I expected. Alright, so let's go to 1000. Cool. So we've got some artifacts, but I'll be sculpting over most of that anyway. So first off, clay tubes. These need to pretty much meet. I don't know where these artifacts are coming from, because there's like, is it that close to intersecting? So it doesn't feel like it is to me. Just dynamic that. I'm just trying to break up the surface. Obviously it feels a bit too stroke-like at the moment, but just through kind of going back over it with trim dynamic and alt, that will kind of get rid of that feeling. Granted, this is a lot smoother than I have, but let's go a little bit over the top of it. I quite like to go a bit too far on this sort of stuff. Oh, actually, should we handle the welding first? I guess we should. Just fill that section completely in. I have to re-dynamesh soon. Polygroups are great. Hey Ian, how you doing? So we got that weld in place. Let's just, on this side it's a lot rounder. Granted the head shape is different. I'm also going to need to bring in my my sculptor of Rowan Creature to project this onto, because I think this one will be Rowan Creature. But actually, what do you guys think? So the two that I'm going to use, so I think I've decided I'm going to keep these front two as the actual faces used. I will be doing second pass to kind of make them like some difference between them. So the two faces that I'm going to change are this one and this one. This one's left, this one's right, so screen left, screen right. Which one should be Rowan Creature and which one should be Dragon Boy? What do you think, Becca? Becca? What do you think? So I'm going to keep these two heads the same as the actual reference, but the other two I'm going to replace with the characters I've streamed. Rowan Creature, Dragon Boy, but do you think it should be that order, or? Because the silhouette, I guess you'd see the silhouette more on this one. So maybe Rowan Creature would work better here because he's not as weird silhouette-wise. But I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, okay. So I'll put Rowan Creature on this side, I think, and Dragon Boy on this side. So let's put that back in. Not bad, you. Oh, hey, Rebel. Nice job on your end. Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it. This one's going to be a lot less of a match. I think it's just it's quite an awkward shape, this one. It's no more awkward, I guess, than the previous one, but my ring is too small here. Unless that's just the width for this thing, like, is this way wider? That's possible too. Something like that. Let's smooth that in. I really love the artifacts that the clay tubes leaves with that softened alpha. It tends to work really well with trim dynamic. I like it a lot. Like, it obviously doesn't feel like metal or it doesn't feel organic, but it just feels interesting to me. You guys might completely disagree and I might have terrible taste, but personally I quite like it. Let's add a blob here. We're gonna need some more topology. Ooh, that brush technique works quite well. Doesn't do a bunch of that. And I've lost it. Let's just add some blobs. How does the blob brush look on this? Ooh, blob brush works quite interestingly. A blob brush is a really interesting shape. And then let's just kind of put that down a little bit. I think I should Dynamesh again, but at a higher resolution. Let's do it. Let's go to 1500. 1.4 million. Alright, cool. So we are not going to run out of topology for this. I think that's the police because I'm using ZBrush. Dynamic over there to kind of get those pockets. So this side is completely blended in, like just here is like completely blended in. So let's do that. Dynamic, pull that way back, smooth you out, and then just hollow this. It looks like it's been carved away in that area. Like it's thinner, so I'm just going to do that. Nice thing about Dynameshing of this high of a resolution is you don't lose any details. But it's too many polygons really for what I'm currently doing. Eventually it wouldn't be enough, but at the moment it's too many. I feel like I'm starting to go too far with this guy. Dynamic. Let's round this out. And it seems rounder on the top. It seems like it's pulled in, so let's just do that. Let's smooth that in. Sometimes it's, I've said this in probably every stream at this point, but sometimes it's really important just to go for it. Like, you know, like it would have been taking me way longer to like slowly kind of pussyfoot towards that shape, but you know, just doing a quick stroke like that is really helpful. So this side looks like it's faded in as well, but is that through wearing down? Is ZBrush bad? It's not bad. It's just it's kind of a bit of a meme, to be honest. It's like if it gets overused by people who don't know how to manually retopologize. In my case, I used it because I was not wanting to retopologize like an earring, which required, you know, it would have taken maybe, so ZBrush did it in 40,000 polygons, and it's not overly efficient, but it gets all the shapes, or most of the shapes. It loses a few. If I was to manually retopo it, maybe 20k, and it would get roughly the same amount of detail, but it would take me hours, and I just don't see the point. Like when you're doing something like an earring, it's really not worth the effort. at least in my books. Obviously, again, if you're doing this for like real production, like if you're doing it for NPC, ILM, DNEG, whoever, and it was for a hero character, then yeah, you definitely manually retopo and make it as efficient as you can so that the UVs can be very clean and all that sort of stuff. This needs to be moved down. Let's grab you. Grab you. But yeah, so like because I used it on an earring, I was just like disappointed in myself, to be honest. But there's nothing wrong with it. Like it is a helpful tool, and it's a lot better than it used to be. It used to be a complete no-go. Although any students who say, "Oh, you can use that instead of manual retopology for like a main character," they're chatting shit. I wouldn't believe them because it's not that good. Like it's good enough for most things, but the moment you need like really nice hard surface, like bevels and like really tight shapes, then ZBrush won't do a great job. It will do an okay job. And the moment you're animating something, it's a no-go. Complete no-go. I tried to use it for the Rowan creature to begin with, and eventually gave up because I was just like, no, it's worth doing it properly. And then this character, I just decided straight up to just do manual retopo. So it's a bit kinked on this side. More. There we go. So, oh, that's way too strong. Soften that down. I'm gonna go in with the move brush. Oh, gross. I'm gonna clay build up. Cool. Oh, that's not a good angle. This needs way more volume. Let's give it way more volume. Let's just do that. And this side is a lot shorter and thicker. Big inflate tool. And this is almost merged in completely, actually. I think I was totally wrong on the shape, so let's pull you in a lot more. Noted. Yeah, it's like, yeah, so Ian, whenever you're doing your shooting projects, ZBrush is not a no-go for everything, but if you want to animate it, don't go near it. And plus, like, although recruiters might not necessarily always know exactly what's right, like, you know, a good ZBrush can look convincing from a distance. A lead would probably pick it up every time you sent it. So if you want to get a job, then I don't recommend using ZBrush, at least if you're applying for, you know, feature film or something that requires clean topology. Like if you're doing something that doesn't really require clean topo, then you can probably get away with it, to be honest. Like I'm sure there's quite a few industries where you don't need to worry too much about topology. I mean, hell, David, so Titan Troll, he says how he uses it because he's in miniatures. He's an amazing sculptor, but in miniatures, topology is not as important. Like, you don't need deformable topology; you just need topology that supports a shape. So in his case, ZBrush is a great option. So there are use cases for it. It's not a complete like, oh my god, hate ZBrush. I mean, hell, I use it. Like, you know, I'm not going to say it's the devil's work, but it does get overused a lot, mainly by beginners who think it's good enough. Although to be fair to beginners, they don't know what to look for. Like on the surface, ZBrush can look quite good. And if there's any like pros watching, I'd love to hear your opinions. ZBrush can look very good. Like from a distance, it can look like it's got the right shapes, and there are people out there who can get genuinely great topology out of it. But it's never quite right. There's always something wrong, as there always would be with automated. Well, for now, always will be. It's only a matter of time until someone gets a deep learning AI on it. once that happens, retopology becomes a lot cheaper to do because you don't need anywhere near the same amount of people, and that's terrifying. Is this ever used in features? I've never personally seen it used in features. When I was in previs, I've used it on like tiny background assets, like a tree, that sort of thing. Like, you know, there's no problem with using it in those sorts of cases. This needs to be, I need to go way braver on this. Yeah, like I used it in previs, but you know, in previs you just want a shape and you want it quick, so you don't need to get like perfect topology. And with stuff like trees, I don't think it really matters anyway. I mean, rocks are something that are kind of renowned for the fact that whatever topology goes, like it's fine. But yeah, in the case of in actual films, I've not really seen ZBrush used. But then at the same time, I'm not a modeler, so I wouldn't have been seeing it. Like, I was a groom artist, so I only ever got to see assets that required groom, and normally assets that require groom need really, really nice UVs and really, really nice topology. You know, you don't groom background assets, and if you do groom background assets, it's probably crowd, and there's already like models set up for crowd that are like standardized. Every studio will have like a standardized human that they can use for crowd assets. It just saves time. There's no point building every crowd asset from the ground every time. So I need to add, I'm going to try to use the layer brush for this. I'm just curious to see how well it works. So let's just go in and go, whoop. It's a bit hyperactive. Nah, no go. So let's break a sin right here and brush with the form. This is another thing as well, if you want to get into sculpting, what I'm currently doing right now is not a good technique, which is I'm brushing with the form. Like if you're doing something organic, I guess in this case it doesn't matter as much because it's a ring, but if you're doing something organic, sorry, it's camera's really bugging me. I need to really hollow this back out. But yeah, if you're sculpting stuff organic, never go with the form. Like if you're doing someone's cheeks, let me just sculpt a super hacky like nose, and then mouth. Right, so we've got our beautiful little guy here, right? If you were to do like the cheeks, let's give him tiny eyes. So if you wanted to do like the cheek going in here, obviously with down standard you're going to want to, you know, draw the nasolabial fold. But then if you want to add this like softness here, the worst thing to do is this, because what that's going to do immediately is you're getting volume, but it feels like really inorganic. Like it just doesn't work. Whereas if you go in and do this, it has a much more satisfying roll to it. So I'll do this side with, there you go. See the difference? Like even at a distance, like brushing against the form gets you much better results. Whereas brushing with the form, just it feels kind of, you know, obviously good sculptors can make any technique work, but generally speaking, the brushing against the form will always be better. Just a tiny side lesson there. Let's undo all that. We could keep that tiny little face in there. There we go. So there's actually a massive like piece taken out of this. So let's go in with, well actually let's, sure. Let's just soften this in first. And then let's hack this out. So I'm going to draw it. Something like that, I think. Invert that. Down standard and go weep. Oh, weep. It's good enough now. Let's just go in with clay tubes. Build up this edge. hollow this out, add a little bit more on top. Then we're going to need to do some stuff to sharpen this a little bit, because it feels organic within the actual, within the crease itself. So we just do something like that. That's good enough to get us that kind of general hacked out feeling. We do need to change the silhouette of this guy though. Let's just do a quick, that's better. There we go. Right, so next thing, we need these two spheres. I was thinking of replacing the face, but I still want to match the general feeling. Let's do that. Hey Francisco, how are you doing, mate? And this one's a lot higher, next to the mouth actually, so this one's up like here. It's a beautiful looking thing. This looks like a growth, like why would you carve this into your jewellery? I mean, it adds something, it definitely works. The people who made this know more than I do, but still, like, it just feels weird. Like, why would you want that? This is completely hollowed out on this side. And I think I messed up by bringing this too far back. So let's go in with the move tool and just make this fit a little bit better. Just quickly go over this. What I'm going to do is, like, I occasionally hold Alt and then let go of Alt. I'm just kind of filling in the area, but I'm following the general kind of angle that some of this stuff would have been done at. That makes it feel a lot more convincing. Right, so you need to be way smoothed out to the point of using clay build-up for you. Way more volume, so let's go this way this time. So you do want it to feel kind of round. And then I think it's diving around this way. I'm not entirely sure what this shape is. And this one's completely carved out. Like, it's almost like that. And then that to boot. And that kind of works. So this guy needs to be inflated, and then deflated, and then inflated. Kind of break that. There we go. There's actually a slightly hollow patch in his forehead here as well. Get in bed. It's only 10 to 9. Right, so hollow this guy out. So we need to replace the face of this guy, so I'm not going to continue sculpting that. Oh, I've done the wrong one. Rather than undo it, I'm going to sculpt it out. I could use a new undo brush thing, but I think I'd rather sculpt it. Also, I think the next thing I'm going to sculpt outside of this project, like in my free time, is probably some anatomy stuff, because I realised that I've not actually sculpted a full body for a character in what might be years, which is concerning to me. Obviously I did Dragon Boy, but he was, you know, clothed and very cartoony. Like, I need to do like an actual gestural anatomy study, because I haven't sculpted an asymmetrical pose literally since I first applied to MPC back in like 2015 for the internship. Never got it, but because my sculpting wasn't good. But yeah, it's just like, I need to practice that stuff. I'll be getting really rusty. Granted, you know, I've spent years kind of learning how to have an eye for this stuff, so it will be easier to pick up than it was, you know, 5 years ago. But at the same time, you know, it's good to practice stuff. I'm intentionally getting out of my comfort zone with every project I do at the moment. Like Dragon Boy was completely in my comfort zone, but then, you know, Rowan Creature was something new for me. Female sculpts are really difficult for me, and likeness is incredibly difficult for me, so that's why I did the FKA twigs. I'm really trying to make sure I don't go into my comfort zone for a while. Maybe at some point I'll do a Dishonored style sculpt and really render it, because that's my comfort zone. Maybe that would be a fun live stream to do. It's like a really in-depth Dishonored-ish thing. It'd be interesting to find out like how I can make a render feel like that art style without just doing moody lighting and grungy textures, because that's what I used to do, and that's not what the art style is. I feel like my old art was just like, not edgy teen, because I didn't do edge, but it's like I never really understood why styles worked. I just kind of threw shapes down. It's like, if it looked dark and I made it dark, I didn't really understand why. So it'd be really cool to kind of go back and revisit that sort of work and see, you know, what a couple extra years of experience has done for the understanding of it. Not the execution, just the understanding. So let's round you out, and then may as well do a masterclass as to how to ruin a sculpt, because this is drifting further and further from what I want it to be right now. Granted, you know, it's literally a few brush strokes in, but still. I'm not entirely sure I understand what this is doing. Let's see if we can see on the other side. It's just tall. In fact, actually, this is really helpful. Why am I using this side? Looks like a nice Lamborghini. Also, if anyone in the chat is into racing games, I recently bought one called Assetto. I apologise to any Italians watching this. Assetto Corsa Competizione. I really recommend it if anyone's like into racing. It's a pretty difficult game. Well, it's not really a game; it's a simulator, but still. I'm only playing it on the gamepad, which is kind of against the whole point. But it's quite good. Like the audio in it is really well done. Like it's really masterfully like mixed. But the sound of that Lamborghini outside just made me think of it. So these are completely bold on the back. Is it the same down here? Can't see it. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to assume that these on the back don't actually exist. So let's completely flatten those out. And if we can assume that on this side, we can assume it for the whole thing. So let's just flatten out the backs of these. So let's just flatten you all the way down. Keep going. Yeah, it's really good, man. As I said, really difficult. It's 30 quid at the moment on Steam, so it's at like full price. Doesn't have that many cars. It's got like 24 cars, but that includes like different years of the same car. But the sound is just amazing. Like it's really well, like, you know, hats off to the guys that did the sound for that. The graphics are great too. It's Unreal 4. But the sound is what gets me. If you know, late at night, turn the lights off, get your headphones on, do a like nighttime race like in the dark, and it's just like amazing. So I've been playing Forza Horizon for the last like couple of months, and I really needed something that wasn't arcadey. Been playing racing games since I was a little kid, so I was quite excited to get back into them. Gran Turismo 2 was the shit back on the PlayStation. In fact, it was PlayStation 1, right? Gran Turismo 2. I'm babbling now. So that's flat enough for now. I have to go through and like really nail this later. I had a question for you actually about studios in the UK. Yeah, sure, fire away. I'll answer if I can. How did this one work like first time? There we go. Just had to force it. Are people from many countries working there? Oh yeah, it's very multicultural in VFX. I can't speak for every studio because I've only like, you know, worked at one, technically two, but really I've worked at one studio, which is NPC obviously. So in NPC London, oh, your girlfriend has opportunities for London in fashion. That's really cool, man. Is she what, designer for fashion, or if she is, I assume she probably already knows about it, but you should show her Marvelous Designer. I remember like one of my high school friends. I'll get back to your question in a second. Just on tangent mode right now. One of my someone I knew from high school. So I won't say one of my friends because I never really spoke to her. But she did fashion in uni, and I remember about a year ago she finished and was like, "Oh my god, like so glad to do this." And I messaged her about Marvelous Designer, and like the fashion course didn't mention it as a thing. I was like, "This is so much cheaper than buying all these fabrics. Like by all means do it. But if you want to test stuff out like rapidly, like Marvelous Designer is amazing." And she went to a fashion course, and she's great at what she does, and she never knew about it. So it could be worth mentioning to your girlfriend if she doesn't already know about it. But yeah, so in terms of multicultural, yeah, I mean, primarily it's mostly French. Well, at least it was at one point mostly French and Italian. That's where a lot of the talent, because like some of the best artists I've ever met in my life were French. So like you tend to get quite a lot from there. But yeah, at one point when I was in Groom, there was a guy from Greece. There's well, technically from Soviet Union, but from Greece really. There was like 5 of us from the UK. There was like 6 people from France, 4 people from Italy, and we had a couple of Americans, not in Groom specifically, but we had a few Americans, a couple of Canadians. Trying to think what other countries people were from. One guy from Africa, South Africa, I believe. One of the French-speaking nations of Africa. I can't remember which one exactly. Where else? Where else are people from? I was thinking because I can, in my head, like I'm not going to mention names because you can't give away like numbers and that sort of stuff at studios. Like it's against NDA, so I can't go into how many people we worked with and all sorts of stuff. But I'm trying to think like where they're all from. It's mostly Europe, a majority of Europe, with a fair bit obviously from the UK because it's where we are. Which is why Brexit's a bit of a bummer for the visual effects industry, because a lot of our best talent comes from EU, and that depending on how it goes could complicate things a lot. But yeah, I know there are a lot of effects houses. Yeah, there's loads of studios, absolutely loads. Obviously, right now is not like the perfect moment because a lot of them are like working remote. But yeah, I mean, all the major VFX houses have somewhere in London. Frame Store's doing great. As far as I'm aware, they're probably the healthiest studio right now. But yeah, I mean, it depends on exactly what you want to do. Yeah, she does pattern making. She uses Clo. Yeah, the Clo 3D is like the big boy version of Marvelous Designer, right? I can't remember what features it has. It used to have loads of features that Marvelous Designer just didn't, like back when Marvelous Designer was quite new. Like, you're talking version 4 or younger. Yeah, Chloe is really cool. Yeah, I don't exactly know how it's better suited for them, but I know it is. Like I've seen it before as well. I almost bought Chloe 3D at one point. I still need to buy Marvelous Designer, to be honest. It's one of those programs I really need to get. So I've got like a trial version of Marvelous Designer 4 like on my desktop, but it's like the link hasn't worked in years. In fact, I really need to delete that shortcut because like it's literally just sat there and I can't use it. There we go. This is feeling a bit more clay-like than metal right now, which is obviously an issue because it's supposed to be metal. So we'll have to figure out why that's the case. I mean, I kind of know why it's the case because I've sculpted it really badly. Just go back to this side. So we're going to need to bring in Rowan Creature now. So append sphere. Let's import Rowan Creature. Or should this side be? Well, this side was going to be Dragon Boy, right? So import. Do I have an OBJ already exported? Dragon Boy. Then let's go. Scenes, exports. Perfect. So where's the earring? Oh, got it done. I saw it. Oh, it's actually the scale difference isn't that big. What the fuck? Right. So obviously we're going to need to get rid of the ears, and we're going to need to add some eyes. And in fact, actually, we don't need to add some eyes. Cool. So. I think this could just be a nice little detail. It's this sort of detail that I think really is missing from a lot of work online. It's like, obviously, you know, granted, I wouldn't notice this sort of stuff, and most people don't, which is why people don't do it, I guess. But I feel like just adding that little bit of like personality to it is really, really helpful. I really don't like the. Come on. I kind of dig it. Should I keep the ears? Let's just take the back of this guy's head off first. Actually, let's use the slice. It's not slice, actually, it's trim, right? I think we should get rid of the ears. So let's just do that. Keep the ears. Alright, cool. Keep the ears, we will. We're going to need to move them forward, though. In fact, let's solo you. Obviously, it's going to get really janky, but I don't care. Oh, it's so janky, I love it. Cool, so. Yeah, don't worry, I just seen that you've, I've heard your cries. I've put the ears back on now, as you'll be seeing on your screen by the time you hear me saying this. I might need to resculpt the ears. Let's just hollow these guys out. Cool, right, so trim. Let's just get rid of as much as we can. Oh wait, I went the wrong way. Oh, I didn't. Oh. I'm surprised I didn't delete anything there. Getting this right is going to be really tricky. I also need to keep remembering to go anti-clockwise. I'm going to have to sculpt the rest. That's fine, because it's high res enough. The question is, do I try to make it feel like metal, or do I just embrace the smoothness? Yeah, no, if you like the ears, because I wasn't sure, but if you like them, then I feel like you'd probably be a decent representation of what other people will think. It's good to get other people's opinions. Yeah, Trim just doesn't give a shit sometimes, does it? So, let's correct you. Yeah, so one nice thing about not having to care about topology is I can just go in and clay build up that. And then when I dynamesh it, it'll be fixed. I feel like the ears are too far forward now, though. Which is not ideal. So let's mask those again. At least this time it'll be a bit easier to... There we go. So, Pull that back in. Pull that. It just looks like it's got old man hair now. I also feel like I should probably flatten this guy a little bit. Like if I get the move tool and do this. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get that straight though. There we go. Oh, it does look weird from the side. Oh, I want that. Let's keep it. No, let's not keep it. Oh god. Alright. It has to be flattened. It really does have to be flattened. Is it too obvious? Maybe once I start fading in the chin and all that stuff. So let's just save this where it currently is. In fact, actually, let's not save it right now. Let's go into Preferences, undo History, turn off Enable Saving, and then CG stuff, Projects, Personal Work, FKA Twigs, Modeling, ZBrush, Export, no, ZBrush. Oh, I guess I was putting them in the Maya ones, right? Exports, Jewelry. Let's check Hoop A. Yeah, there it is. So Hoop B. 1 Cool. So let's dynamash these together now. Is this the high res? It is, right? Yeah. So merge down, and then dynamash them together. And there we go. So clay tubes. Let's start getting these to actually feel connected. We're gonna need to fill this out, aren't we? We'll probably carve down the chin a little bit to compensate. Although carving down the chin might help it fit, as in like visually fit a little bit better with everything else. This is like a middle-aged version of him now because of the hair. So let's go through and carve some different areas. He's already got some asymmetry, which is good, but we need to add more. Although we need to keep the general shape intact, which is going to be really difficult. Let's try the crinkle thing. Let's just see how... Oh, crumple, sorry. How well does the crumple do at making this feel... It is an awful job on its own. We can't do that. So, we know that we get random kind of gaps in this, so let's do that. Those strokes will draw some nice reflections. Yeah, hopefully. What I'm trying to figure out is how far can I push changing the shape of this guy to feel sculpted while still keeping the general feel of the original character. So let's carve this eye out. Big stroke, there we go. So when people are sculpting metal, they tend to stroke with the change they want, right? Because it's so difficult to get otherwise. So let's not do the the correct way of sculpting. He feels like he's kind of decaying a little bit. That's the problem that we got now. So add a little bit of volume here. That fixes it a little bit. Remove a little bit of volume there. Go back into trim dynamic. Again, just randomly holding Alt as I do this, just so I'm not just removing volume. You want to make sure that you're not. You want to make sure that generally equally adding and subtracting from a model, at least in my opinion. Granted, I can be very, very wrong. Do that. The ears are going to be really hard to get, I think. Let's do a flat spot. That's interesting. So now let's figure out how can we get this to feel. I guess we could do that to mimic the design of the actual things. So let's just really hollow that out. I think that's working relatively well. We need to change the shape of this stuff around it. Let's just do the carve out thing. We just need to get rid of roundness wherever we see it, basically. I'm gonna take a chunk out one of these ears as well. Let's just quickly do. What was that? Was that on your phone or was that outside? Oh, it was on your phone, okay. So actually that artifact is going to play quite nicely, so let's soften that just a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a lip. So take a chunk out of this one, I think. So let's just do that. Add a bit more in there. Flatten. His little arms. Oh yeah, those are tiny little arms. Beautiful. This side is a lot more chewed up, which I'm not sure I'm keen on. Although from a distance that will start to feel like metal soon. And now that we've got all this general breakup, we can probably go in with the crumple and get a nice big brush surface. There we go. It's almost like a clay polish type effect that it gets. But it does it in a appealing way rather than a quite overdone way. Granted, clay buildup can be used however you want it to be used. So I think we need to soften this way out. Not like that though. Like that. So let's just pull it back. So it points towards the ears a bit better. It doesn't feel as much like an old man. Bit too much though. Let's go with the move brush. Helps a lot. Cool, so I'm going to need a bit more volume here, aren't we? It's going to be really difficult to get this still looking kid-like. The nose has got to change. I don't think the nostrils are possible at this scale. That's a lot better. Just need to fill the area behind it, so it's not perfect. Maybe intentionally carve out behind the nose so it feels like it's been taken out as a chunk. Much better. That feels possible now. Cool. I think that's good enough. At least for a first pass. Let's go have a drink. So, we've got Dragon Boy in there. We'll have to do him again. I think for... let me just try adding the eyes. When I do the... what's the word I'm looking for? When I do the one for Rowan Creature, I think I might just take the topology of whatever this ends up with and map it. Let's close his eyes. Alright guys, with or without eyes. Let's just put him, just do that. Come on, there we go. With or without eyes. Eyes are so slow. There we go. I'll give you guys like a minute or two. I'm not sure. I think without eyes, personally for me, just because it's more similar to the actual design. But it'd be good to hear what you guys think. Maybe I should give him a tiny little butt chin. There's a tiny little blob there. Like I can explain it away with like a metal deformity rather than actually intentionally sculpted thing. Gonna refill my drink. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. If no one says anything, I'll probably go with without eyes, but... Oh, shit. Sure. Put some water. Okay, no one's responded, so I'm going to go with no eyes, I think. So I don't think the delay is that big. At least I hope it's not. Otherwise, at what point does it stop being called a live stream? Right, so I'll just put pen. There it is. It needs to be softened in completely. Get some flat spots. I'd really love to see like how people sculpt metal. Obviously, this isn't like the most overly metal feeling metal. And to be fair, this doesn't really feel like metal either, weirdly. Like only the shading makes it feel that way. At least in my opinion. Obviously, it is actually metal. I don't think it's like a cast sculpted thing. It looks kind of too hacky to be that for me. Let's not do that. Right, so we need to soften this guy out, and then I think we can start texturing, or not texturing as in substance. I'm going to leave that until I've got everything else done, like I did the other two rings, to kind of get away from modeling for a bit, but I'll say other two, I did the other one and then copied it, but you know what I mean. Brave. There you go. Now let's smooth that out, because it does need to be there. There we go. Looks a bit too chewed up. Needs to be smoother. To be fair, the reference is smoother. It's almost like a mirror shine in some areas. Let's do that. I need to set up hotkeys at some point. Just for clay build-up, clay tubes, move, and trim dynamic. And maybe down standard. And how did it achieve this smoothness on these things? Just sanding? Well, I guess you can get those little like ball bearing like tumblers. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Let me get an image of it actually, because it's really interesting. It's like smooth this sort of stuff. Let me just search metal polish ball bearings. Nope. Tumble. So if you search metal polish tumble, it will correct it to metal polish tumbler, and you get a lot of images of this dude. That's kind of weird. Thanks, Google. No idea who this guy is. Metal polish tumble. Yeah, so this stuff. Basically, if you want to polish something, you just put it into like a tumbler with little like metal pieces in it, and it'll just slowly wear things down. It does bring things to quite a nice polish. It's really like fascinating thing to watch. I have no idea how long you keep stuff in for, but it's really interesting. At least to me. I find odd things interesting sometimes though. Oh, that needs to stay on the screen. So, no, upside down. So let's start going around and just, as a quick thing, just carving out some areas. I'm not really too worried. This side's a lot smoother than the other side was, so I'm not too worried about it being perfect. To be honest, the crumble brush will probably end up doing most of the work for me. How would they have molded this? In fact, how does spray work with trim dynamic? Ooh, not well. That is quite horrible to look at. Obviously I need to sculpt, ooh, actually I need to sculpt this area. Okay, so let's just super quickly do all this stuff. Similar to sandblasting. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty similar to sandblasting, except it's literally just a tumbler. Like, it just rotates. That's all it does. And the ball bearings themselves slowly sand down, or whatever metal they use slowly sands down whatever you put in. Or files down, or I'm not sure what the correct term is. But it's quite a cool process. Manufacturing has a lot of interesting stuff about it. Oh, I just got a message from someone on LinkedIn. There's a guy who's making a groom of Dragon Boy. I sent him the model like quite a while ago. He just messaged me about it actually. Kind of looking forward to seeing how that turns out actually. So I'm going to do a smooth pass on this. I just want to get some plane changes in there. Send me an image. Alex Fawn, if you ever see this, I am sorry I'm not replying yet. I look forward to when he's done his own version of Dragon Boy though. It'd be really cool. Because I sent him like the sculpt, like the non-retopologized one, because I didn't really retopo it. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it. It's been a while since I sent anyone like any of my work to kind of play about with. I used to do it quite a lot. I used to send students like, you know, little characters I worked on in my free time, just so they can kind of not learn from it, but kind of play about with it and learn with it. So I don't think I'm really at a level where I can send people my models to learn from. Like, my models aren't that good, really. Tutorial wise, I can write stuff that you can learn from, but I feel like just sending my work, it's not at a level where there's loads to learn from it. The process is where most of the learning comes from. Okay, so we got that. Definitely needs smoothing out a bit more. Cool, so we've got that section with some surface breakup. Let's go in with the crumble, or crumple. I'll never not get that name wrong. Doesn't work that well on this, let's just, ooh, Jesus. is it so strong now? Oh, the strength depends on how crazy you're going with angles. One second, guys. Send that through. Cool. So, clay tubes. Oh, that's not what I want. How long is this going to take? Why did it do that? Like, what sense does that make? Cool, so. Okay, let's try getting. Let's not try getting retouch on the ship because I just realised I've still missed quite a few areas. So let's smooth you out with the clay tubes for some reason. Right, so build up. Let's add one right here. Zoom out. Nowhere near enough. I just need to turn off shadowing. Same thing on this side. Cool. And then let's just trim dynamic to destroy what I just built, but in a satisfying way. I feel like H polish might have been a better call. A bit late now, but Let's give it a go. Hatch. What the hell is hatch? Wait, what? What is this brush? That's cool. So it stops working when you... So it just lets you do that? Oh, that's really cool. I can't think of many places I'd use it. That's a cool brush. H polish is what I wanted. Hatch backtrack, oh god. That's just the opposite, okay. H polish. Nah, it's a bit too angular. Dynamic works better for me. Granted, for me, it's a keyword though. Okay, and then this thing needs to be completely smoothed in. I just need to change the lighting. Because although I've got shadows turned off, there's just not enough information. So let's add a little light at the bottom. And just make it super weak. Just so there's enough to get some information on that. Much better. Feels a bit flatter now, but it's important to see everything. So let's get you. Camera snapping at weird angles all the time. So this needs to be massively pinched. I'm going to use inflate though rather than pinch. I find inflate can do a better pinch than pinch can sometimes, at least if you want a general volume reduction like this. Like pinch would, for large pinch, it does something similar, but it tends to be in one axis more than the other. I might be completely bullshitting on that, but to me it's always felt that way. Let's just clay tubes and hollow that completely out. That's better. So this side needs to be pulled up slightly. So let's go with snake hug. Ooh, not like that though. Again, let's use inflate on that. It feels like it's getting too fat down here. Let's pull that in. And this guy needs softening in almost completely. So let's just soften that out. I need to like re-sculpt this area to make it feel a bit more metallic. wonder if hatching would do a good. Let's go with hatch, and let's turn on the same radial fade. Can this do a good welding? No, not really. That's a shame. So I think we need to soften this generally. Let's just go in with trim dynamic and really bring these areas together a bit. Feels a bit better. Still not right though. These need to be way smoothed down. This needs to be wider than this little guy. Let's save. It's been a while. Alright, so let's also add a bit of volume to you. So this is now close enough for me to do a topology at least. So let's just save that again. Then I'm going to duplicate you. I'm going to delete the old ones. So don't need them anymore. Go geometry, and then I know we're going to need quite a lot of topology for this. Not as much as the last one, I think, but still quite a lot. What am I doing right now? ZBrush. So let's see what 15K can do. Probably not enough, to be honest. Let's see if we can do remesh a guide, so I just want to see what the count does. Looks like it's not lost any volume. Actually, that's fine. That's topology amount anyway. It's actually relatively symmetrical. What the fuck? Like if that pole was one higher, this is actually symmetrical. Oh no, that's off as well. I think topology count wise, that might be good. So let's give it a helping hand with the flows. Cool. So it already knew to do this, but I'm going to doubly tell it. try to see if we can get a nice center line. So we're going to place a line there because it's the strongest feature, but still. Let's get a line following you. Get you to do one loop. You to do one loop. Like that. You as one loop. You as one loop. I'm not too worried about the lines being perfectly placed, it's more just getting them vaguely where we want. Let's see if we can get a closed loop in there. Get a closed loop in there. Can we get a loop around the nose? Obviously we don't need deformable topology, but it'd be nice to get, you know, general loops. So now we got to do with these things. Maybe force just to let ZBrush do what it wants with these. So it's quite awkward to draw around. Alright, well, maybe we'll get slightly better results. I'm going to increase this slightly, even though it was okay. I'm just going to go on the side of, you know, getting as little as possible from displacement. And at least then it'll be more in line with what the other side is doing. Really struggles in the last like 25%, 30%. There we go, that's looking promising. It's actually worse. It is actually objectively worse, I think. Beautiful. Okay. Let's not do that. Let's just ZBrush again. Ooh. It's weird how it's better without the guides. That's just some proof of really shitty guide work there. Yeah, these are all doing fine. I know ahead of time that these are going to be a nightmare to UV. But that's the line I've chosen. I'd rather that than manual retopo. Oh, what's happening to you? Cool. So, a few subdivisions, and let's go down subdivision to project each layer. subdivision, project, go subdivision, project, then one more subdivision, project. Rather satisfyingly, we're at a really close poly count after 4 subdivisions. There we go. Right, so we can delete this guy now. Yes, I think so. I don't see any glaring issues anymore. We can re-sculpt it through our. Cool, so let's delete that. Then save this guy. So export him back into Maya. I'm going to turn off groups, turn on smooth normals, and export him. Group B, let's call this low poly, although calling it low poly is a bit of a understatement, or overstatement even. It's fine. Cool. Back into Maya. Let's bring you over there. Right, so now, file, import. I love it. So, just going to very briefly sense pivot. I know I'm doing this in world space and I know it's a bad idea, but so let's get all of you. I just got to find out now if the face thing is a bad idea. So let's assign the gold material. It's a delete a lot of these as well. But let's quickly go in, edit, delete unused. Where was it again? Oh, there it is. Second option. Cool. So we got that. Close enough. So is getting a radically different face a good idea or a bad idea? Let's find out. No, I think that's cute. I think that's totally going to work. We need to render that from the correct camera though. How's going on there? Oh, these are extra geos, right? So, assign the gold matte to these guys, switch the correct camera, and render that again. No, I dig that. I think that's quite fun. So now we've got the question of the other side. Do we need something on the other side, like back here? I feel like we do, but I can't visually tell what the fuck it is. No, that's this one. So, actually no, we might be fine. Because, right, let's follow the mouse. So, it goes through there, obviously we can't trace that side. So this we can trace because it's so straight. So this stuff back here is this guy. this is the big emblem thing at the back. So this, if we follow it through, is this guy, which is completely plain. And ours is completely plain. So we might be good. We might need to twist this a little bit to fill that region in. Or bend it anyway. It looks like it's bent, to be honest. In fact, yeah, it's completely bent. That's veering off to one side, so I need to grab this side of the mesh and just pull it. I completely dig that though. I think that's quite fun. Hopefully you guys don't think it's too gimmicky. Yeah, it totally works, mate. Totally works. Quite a lot of sculpting work still to do, but it's good enough, I think. So let's, for now, get that copied over to the other side. And I think this topology is simple enough for me to reuse it for the Rowan creature one. So, yeah, I think this topology can be reused for Rowan creature. We might have issues with the mouth, but that's fine. Displacement will do quite a lot of work for us. So let's duplicate you, and I'm going to zero out transformations on one of them and start UVing. I can transfer the UVs by topology, so that's no big deal. Let's change this to object. Basically, as soon as we get a better temp, I'm going to replace it every time. So he's actually slightly bigger. Is that correct? High res. View. Camera tools. Yeah, actually is bigger on that side. Because it's lined up at the top though. So I need to scale him slightly. Just for this side. Not a huge difference, but enough of a difference. That's good enough. I need to rotate that like that. Still off. How big is this thing? I think these sides are more asymmetrical than I give them credit for. That'll do. Right, so again, switch back to render cam. Preview. Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool little nod. So we'll replace that with Rowan creature. Hopefully Rowan creature doesn't look too crazy. Obviously we need to texture it to give it the same quality as this. Obviously we need the displacement as well to actually break that surface up. We need to UV it for that. I quite like the idea of it though. So definitely going to go with that. I'm definitely not going to just match the existing earrings. It's a lot less interesting to me. Right, so let's do some quick UVs, shall we? And then I'll end the stream. If the UVs take a while, then I'll probably end the stream before they're finished. But which side works best, actually? Yeah, this side could be him. So, save this. Save over it. It's fine. close that. In fact, let's keep it open just for now, just in case I do finish it, and we can bake out some super quick UVs. I bake out some super quick displacement even. So, duplicate you, go to channel box, ZBrush all this. So it's in the same world space as the other thing. Mapping, clean our map X, why not? Doesn't technically matter. I'm going to clean the scene quite a lot after this as well. So, perspective. There we go, finished. Cut. Where's that dying? Oh, there isn't a center line. Beautiful. Okay, so let's turn that off because it's distracting. Close you. Don't need any of you either. Let's turn off selection highlighting as well. Oh, actually we need selection highlighting. Okay. You. It goes to this pole. Cut those. And then I guess I should have asked it to give me a clean center line. Oh well. I'm gonna do some horrible stuff. I will never be forgiven. Or we could just duplicate. In fact, nice, this maybe too awkward to draw. Never mind. Just delete that. I love how the first possible moment is tried to give us something that's difficult though. Look at that beautiful UV cut. So that's the one that reaches towards the end. So we can guide that to... Okay, so we can move and sew these guys. Then guide you to you. Then so it's all the way up. Cool, alright, so that works. So grab you. Down to you. Cut. So that should be able to unfold to some extent now. It won't be good, but it is unfoldable. So we could get rid of a lot of these cuts actually. If we get rid of the cuts in here, we could probably just sew it at some like arbitrary point. So let's try that. Beautiful. Actually, maybe this side is better. No, apparently not. It's a bit better hidden. Don't like this very much, but it's not really avoidable. Maybe the previous one was better. Yeah, this one's better. Alright, so let's go back. Cut you. What am I clicking right now? Cut these. I need to work that around. So let's go. Oh, perfect. So we've got the face separate. So if we can separate front and back, layout UVs. Let's align vertical. And lay you out. Well, I can just rotate you, I guess. I feel like it'd be considerably better though, just to kind of cut front and back and then merge this. So let's do that. I'll have to cut the ears off as well. I'll cut the ears down the middle. How's that do? Ooh, nice. All right, I'm gonna go with that loop. Surprisingly close. No. Cool, that one's good. And do any of these ones work that well? Definitely not you. Could be you. Yep, he works. Quite a horrible stretch it's got going on there, but cut. So that means I can just grab even so. So we got front and back for that. It's a lot nicer. That is satisfying. So let's see, do we have any loops that go cleanly around? I think we do. Come on. How do you go? Do I care enough to line these up? I think I do. So we know we have one loop that is quite pleasant, which is this one. That one's already a seam, so we can just cut. And the other side we probably won't have the same look. Let's try anyway. That's promising. Cool. That allows me to sew these guys. Straighten the shell. That isn't straight, but okay. Should I cut this in half somewhere along the way? I feel like I should. Just to make it a little bit shorter. It's a lot more efficient now. That works well enough for me. Let's just make a cleaner layout. So I think having you up there, you there, straighten out. It makes more sense for him to be there. Oh, he is kind of getting in the way of that actually. Not worth it. Right, cool. So, we got that guy. So now we can export him back out. Export selection. Export it over low poly, which is currently 2.5 megabytes. Let's see if it's the same size after, just out of curiosity. 5.2 now with UVs. Go into here. Go down to the lowest subdivision level. Import. Import the low poly. And go back up to the highest. Now we have a UV model and we can get displacement out. So save that. Go into Z plugin, multi-map exporter displacement, that's fine. Displacement map, 30-bit, blah 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 blah. File names. Cool, that's fine to me. Create all maps. Texturing, jewelry, hoops, hoop. Let's copy that name. And then create a new folder. Hoop B. And then let's copy that in there. Cool. So I'll close this now. Duplicate this material. So let's go into My Classic to start with. Just need to copy the UVs over as well. Mesh, transfer attributes, transfer UV into topology space. Did it crash? I think it crashed. Luckily I save all the time now. Oh wow, it's really good. There we go. Got my back open. Open scene. Face lava. There we go. Alright, it's done. Super slow though. There we go. So let's try transferring these again. Mesh, transfer attributes. If it crashes again, then I'll leave it well alone. Cool. We'll do the same to the other side. Cool. I can delete the history on this. Delete you. Save the scene again. Go into the hypershade. Edit, duplicate. Duplicate. Let's duplicate shading network. In fact, no, let's not duplicate shading network. Without network. Cool. Pixar hoop B. Assign you. Where's that blend? Demand. There we go. So we got you. So now we need to pixel displace. Let's just edit, duplicate. Tools, texture manager, size this way down, pick image, I need to rename that file. Let's go rename that file first. So I'm going to grab the name from this guy. Name. And copy it onto this guy. Pick image. There it is. Is that sorted? Then we just need to go back to hoop B, the text. Cool. Displace is set up fine. Go set up fine. Render stats, render man, subdivision. So in theory, this should now work. Roughness is set to 0, and this one's set in. What's this guy set to? 0.25. So let's go 0.2. Make him a little bit glossier. No reason why. Just want to. Cool. So panels, render cam. Render. Point 2 is actually a much better roughness than 0.25 I've got on all the other gold. It's looking kind of cool. I quite like having his little face on there. Obviously I'm Rowan Creature, I can't put the ears on that thing. Maybe I can, but it might look a bit too crazy. Let's fix the roughness on the other gold. Weird how 0.05 of roughness can make such a huge difference. The gold in the face feels a bit nicer now as well. A bit more contrasty, especially this guy. So I think that's it for the stream. We've done another area. That's how you do the Easter egg. Yeah, I think that'd be quite fun. I think once we've got the Rowan creature on this, I kind of want to keep the ears on it and to see how crazy it looks. It might be a bit much. But yeah, I feel like that's quite a nice little nod to previous projects. It's important to like nod to where you've been before, because people will notice that. I feel like 1 or 2 people will notice that, because it's nowhere near the same as this shape. But it's kind of cute. I quite like it. Easter eggs are important to put. I always put Easter eggs in projects. Like whenever I work on a film, as in like not a VFX film, but like, you know, like student films and stuff. Whenever I've worked on them, I've always like hidden a little texture, like Easter egg in there. I remember actually getting into a bit of a situation with one once, because I put hashtag dicks out for Harambe on the back of a this is years ago, back when the meme was relevant. I scratched it into the back of a cupboard in a texture, so remove paint to write that, and the cupboard was against the wall, back to the wall, so you never see it in the film, but we knew it was there. And then we went to render turntables, and we forgot it was there. So we leave it rendering overnight, a bunch of props, and then in the middle of this turntable is just in massive scratched out letters, dicks out for Harambe. So we had to very, very, very urgently Photoshop that out. So and this is for an actual competition as well, this is still available online, you can see in the turntable, it kind of flickers on the back of this cupboard, because we literally just use a spot heal to get rid of the words. So sometimes putting Easter eggs in isn't the best idea, especially ones like that, but it was pretty funny. I'll see if I can find, let me see if I can find it, because it's pretty funny. Tiny space pandas VFX breakdown. Might be really hard to find. The actual film is easy to find. Let's turn the audio off. But let me see if I can find a breakdown for it. There it is. I was looking for the this is like the breakdown reel for it. This is a project we did quite a few years ago. It's almost 4 years old now. Where's the turntables? There's prop team turntables in there somewhere. Come on, keep playing. So I think it's on the next set of turntables. No, maybe the next one. Yep, this one down here. You see how it like flickers? Like just at the start there. I don't know how well you can see it in stream, but like as it's turning towards camera, it flickers. Right there. And that's because we had to literally Photoshop out dicks out for Harambe. It's like the dumbest little thing, but I find it quite funny. It's still quite funny to me, even though it's been like 4 years. Yeah, I think you can see it in stream. I'm just watching the replay on my right screen. But yeah, so that was a bit of a situation. It's pretty funny though, looking back. Right, so I think I'm going to end the stream, guys. This is rendering out quite nicely. Which side works better? It can be a lighting thing. I kind of prefer the way it looks on this side. And I also prefer the way this one looks on this side, so it could just be the lighting. It does feel like metal though. It doesn't feel perfect. This is too round. This is too round too, so we'll have to do a bit more sculpting. And obviously we need to do this middle earring. But yeah, anyway, have a good evening, guys. And yeah, I'll be back on Thursday. We'll hopefully be finishing off, quote unquote, the other head, and then maybe blocking out like the sculpt for this middle ring. And then once we've done that, we've pretty much done the modelling jewellery, which is an absolute relief because I'm not a hard surface modeler. This has been an absolute nightmare for me to do all this jewellery. I think I'm legit at about 15, 16 hours worth of modelling jewellery now, and I'm getting quite bored of it, to be honest. Once I've done that, we can do like a final pass on the likeness sculpt of the head. I need to figure out the teeth. I'm not going to bother with gums, I think it's a bit pointless for this asset. But I need to do the teeth, I need to get the inside of the nostrils correct so we get good subsurface on my nose. I need to fix the eyelids, need to add the meniscus, need to potentially model this in properly, the crinkle. More of a fold in the eyelids, and then it's just sculpting from there. We also need to adjust the earlobes to match the jewellery, because currently they're very weightless. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to head off. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I hope you enjoy tomorrow, and then hopefully as well see you on Thursday. If not, enjoy yourself regardless. Bye guys.